Georgia hosting Marshall, 3:30 on Saturday. Number 5 Georgia is favored by 39.5. Now we all know this was not supposed to be Marshall. This was supposed to be Georgia at UCLA in the Rose Bowl. Game was canceled a couple years ago when UCLA made the move to the Big Ten, and Georgia was kind of left in a bind, had to find somebody short. Marshall was available. On paper, you're like, oh, Marshall, they were the Sun Belt Conference champion last year. That's going to be great. They, a good, solid Group of 5 team that's had some pretty good years. They had one of the best defensive players in the country last year, who was leading, everywhere in sacks. Then you look a little bit closer. Charles Huff left, went to Southern Miss, and took a whole bunch of players with him, including his quarterback. They had a mass exodus of players. As a matter of fact, they couldn't even play in their bowl game last year because they had too many players transfer. This is literally a Marshall team that really looks very little like the one that was a conference champion last year. Coach Tony Gibson, he's never been a head coach before. This is his first job. He was the defensive coordinator at NC State last year. So he's bringing in Rod Smith as the OC, who was at Jacksonville State last year, who likes to let his quarterbacks run. They had 1,300 yards rushing last year.
Is that the same like Denver Rod Smith?
I don't know. That I don't know. But yeah, they just, like I said, they lost so many players. They lost Mike Green, who was one of the best players in the country last year. Their key player returning is Toby Payne, a tight end who had 6 touchdowns last year, but that's their really only pass catcher of note that they have coming back. So this is going to be a tough game for Marshall, going on the road to face a top 5 Georgia team.
Yeah.
Good luck to them.
I feel bad for them. I do. I mean, because they literally did replace the entire team. And you don't see that.
Yeah.
I mean,
like 25 guys in the portal plus 20 or 25 guys that graduated, moved on.
Yeah. So obviously this game is not going to be about Marshall, but the new Georgia offense and the new Georgia defense. We got a new guy at the helm, Gunnar Stockton. We all saw him in the SEC championship game and against Notre Dame. Played pretty well enough to win, but it was his first start. Looking forward to seeing him play, and I think we'll get to see a good bit of Ryan Puglisi too.
Yeah. I mean, this game is kind of important for Georgia, right? Because your first road game is in 2 weeks, and it's at Tennessee. You're going to start SEC play on the road at one of the toughest places in the country to play against a playoff team. So Georgia really needs to get established, like you said, in this new offense that they're building around Gunnar Stockton with a couple of transfer wide receivers, with Colby Young back. You really want to see them limit the mistakes. And that's the thing that everybody groaned about last year, was the drops, right? Like, you really want to see Georgia not make those type of mistakes this year out of that receiving room. You know what you got at Nate Frazier. Nate Frazier's solid. He's going to be able to run the football. But you really want to see some plays being made out of those receivers.
Yeah, especially with the talent that came in through the transfer portal. Zachariah Branch out of USC, he's the gadget guy, super fast, former 5-star recruit, expected to have a huge year. And speaking of huge, Noah Thomas from Texas A&M, big bodied target on the outside, apparently lighting it up at camp this year. And on top of that, Georgia gets back Colby Young, who was out for most of last year. And that allows Dylan Bell to go back to his kind of gadget position, line him up anywhere, get him the ball, let him do something cool. And then you got London Humphreys still kind of hanging around there. So this is the deepest the Georgia wide receiver room has been in a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for some big plays to be happening. So a lot of deep ball passes. And then once that gets all settled, we'll see a heavy dose of probably Roderick Robinson, Bo Walker, and Chauncey Bowens.
Yeah. And I think defense, the only thing you really want to see in this game on defense is none of the mental lapse, big mistake plays. Like, Georgia had some of those last year against really bad teams, Mississippi State, UMass last year. You just don't want to see those. You want to see the guys keep even if they give up yards, you want to see them keep them in front of them. You don't want to see the 60-yard play because of blown coverage. You don't want to see bad communication. You don't want to see guys overrunning routes. That's what they should focus on. This is a game about fundamentals and establishing yourself. If you give up a couple of touchdowns, so be it. If they're methodical, work the dink and dunk down the field. Like I said, this offense is probably going to run the ball with the quarterback a good bit. So if they have a couple quarterback scrambles that get some yards, so be it. But don't let them throw the ball on you because they're not going to be a strong passing offense.
I want to see Georgia's defense come out here and absolutely shut Marshall down.
That would be awesome.
Like, not even let them cross the 50 type performance.
Yeah.
Because if we can do that, that's going to be exciting for the rest of the year. Because that's what the old Georgia defenses did. Yeah. You know, it didn't play around with their food like they did last year. Yeah. They came in, punched them in the face, and never looked back.
Yeah. So under Kirby Smart, Georgia, when they have these big spread type games, they don't cover a lot. They just don't. Kirby doesn't like to run it in, but because you have Austin Peay next week, who is an FCS level school before Tennessee, I think at least this is an FBS caliber team. I think Kirby might want to try to get a little more work out of his team. So you may see him push the ball a little bit more when the subs and the backups get in. Spread's 39.5. I'm going to take Georgia to cover because just for that reason, I think they're going to try to keep putting up points in the second half. If you had to give me a score, 48-7. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah, I could see Georgia covering just because we want to see what we have on offense. We want to see what these receivers can do. And another area that I'm really excited to see is the secondary. I want to know who's leading in that cornerback too. Yeah. That to me is one of the most fascinating areas of the team this year, because you got Ellis Robinson, who's been a huge name for the past 2 years, and he's competing with Daniel Harris, and another guy. His name escapes me, but
DeMello Jones.
Yes, thank you. Those three guys have been just killing it in practice, from what we hear. So I'm excited to see that. This just should be just a fun game for Georgia fans to watch and see what we got.